I'm honored to be a part of this conversation, to be at this round table called Climate Cafe. I wish I had some coffee or some tea or something to add a little spice to it, but that's all right. I started preaching when I was 17 years old, Washington, D.C., home church there. Justice work is something that has been a part of my entire upbringing. I think for me, it got to Macedonia right before the pandemic hit. So I was in Baltimore, February 2020, had my first sermon. We closed the church in March of 2020. And I ended up on a journey of self reflection that I think is needed. And I want to have a conversation about it. I uh, don't consider myself an expert in this conversation at all, but I do want to wrestle with the notion of what to do when the advocate needs an advocate. And I think the issue with those of us who serve in justice work is that we struggle to have a off switch. I think that no matter where we are, uh, we're always thinking about the work. We're thinking about the work of what we cannot not see anymore. Once you have gained justice consciousness, once you have gained the eyes to see the world differently and you fight to change that world and what it can be, it is so hard to turn off those goggles. And that level of work, that level of pressure, that level of commitment is daunting. And I think that one of the things, especially when we're talking about our environment and when we're talking about our planet and the nature in which we live in, I think sometimes we forget that we're a part of that ecosystem as well. And the cycle of our ecosystem requires us to have to wrestle with this notion of rest, which can be very difficult to do um, because because the news has a wonderful method of constantly keeping us in a state of um, anxiety and worry. And there's one more thing we have to do. There's one more place on the planet that is needing our advocacy. And so I think we have to rest with that. So here's my first question, because again, I don't like, I preach on Sundays. This ain't a Sunday. So the question that I would like to start with us wrestling with is why do we have difficulty in turning off at times, right? Um, why do we have challenges, personally speaking, right? Why do we have challenges when it comes time for us to rest, for us to have Sabbath, for us to have a break? Why is that so difficult for us to do? Here's the hypocrisy. As much as we are working so hard to advocate, we are a part of the very creation we're advocating for. And I think um, the challenge is that sometimes God um, has to allow for the workers to rest, and that resting is part of the work, right? We are persons who respect that everything that God gives us in some way, shape, or form has a cycle or a limit, then that also includes us as a part of God's creation as well. And I think that we have to always be reminded that there is a time for everything under the sun, and that also includes a time for us to rest. And I'll be the first to admit I'm supposed to be on vacation right now. I'm in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I'm supposed to be vacationing over the next 3 days, and I'm here doing work. So I'm in no way, shape, or form trying to preach to anybody. But it goes to show how important it is that you are a resource that needs time to rejuvenate as well. And so one of the things about I think at least that I've wrestled with is that with spiritual replenishment, the idea of rejuvenating requires us to step away And there's so many models of what happens as a result of taking a moment to pause. We know we know that if everything went the way we wanted and we get the goals, we would be happy. But what else adds to your humanity not evolved around the work?